It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
Welcome to another episode of Discovercars. Today, you join me on a new series that I want to embark on called Buying Cars with Cameron. Now, I'm sure, like many people, you jump onto car sales or your other auto traders and all that, and you just scroll and scroll and scroll because it's pretty much like Facebook for cars, because you're just seeing what's out there, what's new, and of course, how much it costs. So I thought this would be a great series to explore what's out there on the market, have a chat about it. So the series will be exploring every price range, every type of car, comparing different cars on the market compared to their counterparts, really just taking a deep dive into the Australian market and also the overseas market to see what's out there at the moment. So this episode's focusing on the most expensive cars in Australia. So right away we jump in, and the top car we have here is the Ferrari F40. Now, this is a car that, I find it hard to sort of price because it's a pretty rare car and it has a bit of a nice story behind it, being like one of the last cars that Enzo Ferrari signed off on and all that. And it's a pretty spectacular car in terms of its performance and everything. But for me, it doesn't quite do it in terms of like what I would want to spend $2.3 million on. That is Australian dollars, and that is just a crazy amount of money. Yeah, it's a lot of money. Pop-up headlights, it's like the epitome of like 1980s cars. Just checking out all these photos they include, some of the top listings include endless photos, because I mean, you've sort of got to know what you're buying when you're spending $2.4 million. And being Australia's most expensive car for sale, which looks like you can buy tomorrow if you wanted to, it's yeah, it's looking pretty good. Yeah, 2.4 is pretty steep. It's a beautiful looking car. Yeah, the interior is just no nonsense, is it? It's just a manual shifter, no airbags. Looks like your legs would be pointing into the middle of the car. Oh yeah, it's crazy, all right? It's very Italian. And then, oh my gosh, yeah, very Italian 80s car here. These nice, cheap, plastic looking buttons in your $2.4 million collector's car. And then this sort of rippling that's happening on the dash. But hey, it's an F40. I don't think many people complain. So moving on, and then here we have the McLaren Senna for 1.8, and it's done 200 Ks. I thought this was one that I had seen in person and for sale at the Classic Throttle Shop in North Sydney, but I saw this one was located in South Australia. So either this one's moved around the country, or this is almost an identical spec that I've seen in person. And it's a gorgeous car. Like, it is no nonsense. It's not a horizontal line according to McLaren on this. It's a purpose-built race car than just one McLaren Senna. I mean, this will probably go down as one of the craziest track cars of all time before we all go electric. But you really want a McLaren Senna if you're gonna pay this much. These fins in person were really impressive. They're like shark gills up close with the exposed carbon under here and all these sort of hosings and hydraulics and everything. And the swan neck looks like an actual swan as well. I mean, I don't think it'd clear half the speed bumps here in Australia, but yeah, it's a crazy, crazy car. Awesome presence. I mean, it's hard to say no. Oh yeah, and also the way the carbon sort of lines up here is really nice. I think that's a cool touch, although a lot of manufacturers are doing this already, and you think, at what point was that an issue when the carbon didn't line up? I don't really know when that was an issue, but apparently it was enough that people started pointing out that this is a really good way to tell a car's been well manufactured in terms of the attention to detail. It does feel like it's $1 million in person, but yeah, I don't know if I'd be forking in it, but luckily that's not a problem for me. And then around the top tiers of sort of the cars in Australia, you've got a lot of Rolls-Royce, and right on cue we have the Rolls-Royce Phantom 8th generation here, asking $1.2 million. It's a lot of moolah, and especially since they don't really appreciate much after you buy them. Again, I don't know if I could justify that. I mean, some people can, but if this is a ready-built car, you're not really getting the experience for $1.2 million. You want to have it purpose-built for you, have your name all over it. You want it to be exactly how you wanted it, not how someone else envisioned it. So I don't think a pre-built Rolls-Royce for 1.2 is worth it, in my opinion. But then we scroll down to, ooh, here we go. This was a new photo added before, but these are like the listings you see on car sales, which are a little bit annoying because you want to see more photos of a real car, but this is actually more like a placeholder listing for cars that might be coming, or give you a bit more information about the car without having to go to the manufacturer's site. So this is just like a rendering model, and it's the new SF90 Stradale, which is really cool to see. I think this is going to be one of the coolest cars to have for 2020 in terms of it's got close to 1,000 horsepower, all that stuff, and it's pretty much like a miniature LaFerrari. But $1.1 million is pretty much like LaFerrari money. You can see here it looks like it's 846 grand, but then you start getting all the taxes, because here in Australia, if you see these prices and you're not from Australia, they look just crazy. We're just a giant island and it costs a lot to bring stuff here, and also it costs a lot because there's not many of them, because we don't have the population to be able to go out and just buy these, so we don't normally get the number of cars that say the US or Europe would get. And here we have the 1961 Maserati 3000 GT. Now this is one I'm not really familiar with. I mean, it's very Austin Healey-like. I know these are rare. I know they're desirable. Yeah, it's one of the, so you get these listings that pop up which are just like collectors trying to get the top cash for their car, but I don't think this is really the appropriate place to be selling collector's cars. I think this is a cool place to sell newer cars, but collector's cars, you're not gonna get the same audience, I don't feel. I mean, unless you're really looking for this car and you wanna spend $1.15 million on an older Maserati, I just don't think it has the mass market appeal some other cars do. And I know that's not the be all and end all of cars, and it's a right-hand drive as well, so that is another note as well, because Australian cars, if they're not right-hand drive, they probably won't fetch as much. You still gotta find someone who wants to spend that. Cool car, not really, I don't know, you really want a Maserati 3500 GT that's immaculate. And now we have more Rolls Royce, because Rolls Royce seems to think the target price for a Phantom is over $1 million. Ooh, here we go, the A12 Superfast. So this is a very high spec because it's used. It's done 4,000 kilometers, which is relatively mid mileage for a supercar. I mean, 4,000 Ks in a year is a lot for a car like this. But this person looks like they love this car because it's well optioned. It's got some nice wheels on it. It's got custom plate. Yeah, tricolore stripes, white roof. There it is. You can check it all out. Oh, there we go. Oh, look, it's got the tricolore buttons in the middle. It's been well optioned, well loved, but for some reason the owner wants to get rid of it. Oh, look at those stripes in the middle. Excellent, more stripes. Yeah, oh, and the painted scooter rear shields, I am a sucker for that. I think if I was gonna buy a Ferrari, I think that is one of the coolest options, because that goes way back to the origins of the prancing horse in terms of it was painted on the side of a plane. V12, can't deny it, it's a good looking V12, and so the ECU just exposed down here at the front. Oh my god, it's a beast of a car, and practical in terms of supercars because your engine's at the front and you could probably fit just a bit more than your toiletries bag in there. 900 grand for an 812 Superfast. You'd really want this exact spec if you want to spend 900 grand, because as we'll see, not really worth that. More Rolls Royce, more Rolls Royce. Ooh, 812 GTS, but this one has just landed, so it's not really listing again. New Lamborghini Aventador S. I can't believe that's still new. That feels like this car came out a while ago, but they're still making them. And here we have a Rolls Royce Dawn. I do like this. I do like this a lot, especially because one, I just sort of envision myself driving down Rodeo Drive. I mean, probably not now with everything that's going on, but at a later date when it's summer and you have the roof down and you're hanging out with your friends and it's just having a good time and then you're feeling baller. But in saying that, I just don't think it'd be that glamorous to drive around in Sydney traffic. Then you got some more Rolls Royce Dawn, black badge, and then here we go. More appealing collector's cars. My sort of flavor of collector's cars and modern classics come from like the early 2000s through to like the mid 2010s. They're sort of, I know they're super recent, but I think they've some amazing feats of engineering in between it, and one of them being the GT2 RS. They did two versions of this car. They did the GT2 and then they did the GT2 RS, and this was the one that was like plastered all over the magazines being like the ultimate last 997, 911, like the swan song, the whole thing, the black bonnet. This is like the launch color here. It looks $1 million in my opinion, and yeah, it looks like you get close to paying $1 million for this one at $899,000. This is the classic throttle shop in North Sydney. They have some awesome cars there, and I hope to shoot a video there soon. The GT2 RS is just forced to be reckoned with. They thought it was going to be like the craziest 911 they were going to do, you know, carbon fiber bonnet and everything, but then they went out and brought the new GT2 RS out, which is just sort of eclipsed this. But this is the probably like the last manual GT2 RS or last manual RS model, hence its price, because these only came in a 6-speed manual to my understanding. I just think a manual transmission with this much power in such a light car would just be a handful, and hence its nickname, the Widowmaker, because this thing is absolutely nuts. If you're stepping into a car where you have a fire extinguisher on the floor and roll cages in the back and 6-point harnesses, you know you're in for some serious business. And yeah, it's turbocharged, but it's sort of like 2000s turbocharged, so it's not really as efficient and nice to handle as the current turbocharged cars. So yeah, it'd feel like a nice kick in the spine if you put your foot down this, I bet. And just like the Senna, it's one of 500, so take your pick of one of 500 limited edition cars. Do you want a Senna or do you want a GT2 RS? And then check out this. So this is what I was talking about. 200 Ks on the clock. This looks like it's in Lamborghini Sydney, if it's in New South Wales. What were they offering for the other one? They wanted close to 900 grand for the Roadster. And now you've got 200 Ks on the clock and you got 875 grand for a Aventador S Roadster. And this one is a pretty cool spec. I mean, if you're driving a Lambo, you're not really trying to be subtle. Look at the scissor doors there and everything. Blue piping on the interior. This is a really good spec. I love the look of this. This looks gorgeous. Yeah, this looks, but yeah, no, it's a cool looking, I mean, that's sick, but dude, it's 875 grand. I mean, you sort of just shake yourself out of it after getting lost in the car. You go, oh yeah, it's a house, that's an apartment or a generous part of a house right there. But we forget that because we're car guys. We know how to burn money. Here we go. This is what I am looking for. A 911 Speedster from the 991 generation. This is just the cream of the, this is just like my favorite car. This is my all-time dream car, because as you might not know, if you can see in the background right here, I've got this probably exact spec here. And this one's done 1,820 Ks around there. I mean, 19, 20, what's the difference? But this one looks like it's in Lorbeck Luxury Cars down in Melbourne. But yeah, 860 grand. So I used to work for a Porsche dealership and I was working there when we sold these, and we only sold one, but this was not a cheap car. They started off at around 600 odd grand, and depending on what options you ticked, you'd be looking at 800 grand drive away, which is just absurd. There's only 1,948 of these, and they only came in manual, thank goodness, because when I finally set up one, when I'm 150, I'll be able to go out and make sure I have a manual only spec, because the PDK on the 997 was the only option you can get, and everyone sort of went, meh, I don't really want an automatic in a Speedster. But yeah, this is a really good looking car. Like, this is my favorite car, and it looks like it's got the heritage pack as well. So, and it's got this mobile sticker here, which is interesting. It just looks so good because they took the 911 and it's just a complete different take on the 911. And it's sort of back to its roots. It's back to all the way to the first Porsche. It was a convertible, and it's just sort of the most appropriate version of the 911 in my opinion. Yes, it's polarizing, and yes, it looks ugly with the roof on, but that's not the point. It just looks absolutely gorgeous. But something tells me this is not the heritage pack, even though it looks like it does. It's probably like a sticker pack they might have opted for, or it could have been aftermarket. I'm not too sure, because the heritage pack gave you gold badges, and this looks like it has a black interior. The heritage pack gave you a cognac interior, which was like this light brown. And so something tells me something's just off about that. I think you could opt to have the stickers on the outside and not opt for the heritage pack, because the heritage pack was 70 grand as a single box tick item on the Porsche site. So think about that. What cars you could buy for 70 grand, let alone the heritage pack. But yeah, I don't think this one yeah, this is obviously definitely not the heritage pack. And it looks like they have another Speedster hanging around. These photos are just cracking, aren't they? You sort of want these in full res and have a background. These are some of the best photos I've seen. Carbon fiber everywhere. It was one of the coolest, or in my opinion, it is the coolest 911. Some people will spec these really well, and I really like on the non-sticker pack, they have this sort of like black rock chip fin, whatever you want to call it. I think it looks really good. And here's the Aventador SV. I just think, yeah, ever since the SVJ came out, I think this lost its wind in its sales in terms of being like a collector's car. Because Lamborghini is quite what's new, what's out, and then the old stuff starts to come up and go, hey, that was really cool. We forgot about that, and now it's become popular. Sort of like the Countach and sort of like the how the Murcielago sort of really risen up in popularity recently, is the manual V12 becomes like a rare find. And then I think the SV is gonna be one of those cars. I mean, it's a lot of money, 840 grand, and it's a drop dead gorgeous car. But I just think when you've got the Aventador SVJ out, it's sort of hard to being able to compare both prices. I know the SVJ is like 1.1, but you're looking at this at 840 grand going, hey, I mean, maybe I can buy this instead of an SVJ. Or if you've got money for either one, you're probably going to go the SVJ, but the SV nameplate will still be like a really high and desirable name to have in your collection if you're collecting all the SVs all the way back to the Mura. But I mean, it's still an awesome car and they're extremely rare here in Australia. But I just don't know if that was factory or not. That sticker in the middle, I really don't like that sticker. I just love the clean look, and I mean, well, clean as aggressive Lamborghinis can look, but then you have this awesome SV script on the arch, which looks fantastic. But Lambo owners, for some reason here in Australia, just love putting stickers all over their Lamborghinis, whether it be the Italian flag or it be the SV stripe. But not really my flavor for the SV stripe, but I mean, I didn't order it, but if it's, yeah, it looks pretty clean for a factory option, but something tells me it might not be because I haven't seen that many elsewhere. It's been an interesting look at this, and I hope you found this entertaining to go through. I just love talking about the cars I'm seeing here, and I'm doing more of these as I go along because I just have so much fun making them. So if you liked it, let me know if there's any cars you want to see for sale. We can go have a look at it. Leave your suggestion down in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button to let me know that you like seeing this and you want to see more of it, and hit that like button if you really like this because, hey, it helps out. And then, yeah, follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm hanging out if I'm not making videos. And this has been Buying Cars with Cameron. It's been an awesome pleasure to be chatting to you, and we'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.